Hello, everybody, and welcome to the SpitTalk podcast. My name is Jan.
My name is Aaron.
And I'm Kyle.
And in today's episode, we are talking about The Crow. And no, not the motherfucking Crow that's in theaters right now, I think. I mean, what is it,
Should be.
October? No, I don't think it's in theaters. I mean, did anyone even watch it? Anyways, we're not doing that. We are doing something called retro reviews. It's like a new thing we're doing. Because I think, Kyle gave us like this thing where we only watch good movies.
Hold on. This was not the direction I was expecting. What is this?
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Good movies are in the past, so we're doing retro reviews.
Most of them are in the past. So we are doing something called retro reviews right now. It is we're just watching stuff that, we probably haven't talked about before, probably something that we just want to talk about. And this one, since The Crow's out or not out, depending on if it's still even fucking in theaters right now, we're talking about the original Crow, the 1994 version with Brandon Lee. I think Aaron just watched it. I just watched it literally again today. It's been a while since I've seen it. Kyle watched it just recently also. So we're going to fucking dive into that, give us our thoughts. I think it's Aaron's first time. I don't remember. Did you watch this before?
No.
Yeah, like before.
Oh, you guys haven't seen it before?
No.
You've seen it before SpitTalk.
I've seen it before, but I was a kid, so I don't remember. I didn't remember as much of it as I did now. But you guys go first. Like, what did you guys think of the movie?
I think concept-wise, it's very 2000s, 90s, but sometimes you need that in your life, like it was cool just seeing a good revenge story overall, but I'll just leave it at that, then we'll dive deeper later on.
It gave how to say it? I was gonna say it felt more 80s-ish than more 90s.
Right.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. It's very 80s coded, and how to say this? The story was very interesting. And I guess knowing the fact that like there's a new one coming out, like I want to see like how it feels like they would either probably try to do better justice and kind of like making it more theatrical, I guess. But the original one definitely kind of like was rooted with like I was like you know the intent, but it wasn't like in your face yet. So I don't know.
Oh yeah, you guys are nuts. I fucking loved the original. And apparently the new one is at like 9% Rotten Tomatoes score.
Oh yeah, people are
I was just gonna bring that up. I was like, wait, why is it such a low score? Because I didn't say it was a bad movie. I just said like it's a very nostalgic.
We didn't even watch the new one, so I can't speak to the new one also. But for me, I think like since I've watched this before as a kid and going back to it again today, I was like, yeah, fuck, this is such a good movie. So here's the thing. We're saying it's not in our face, but for me, I think the simplicity of it all is what gets me, because I'm the vibe of the actual movie itself and like the noir tone that they're going for, and the fact that like that city feels so fucking claustrophobic. And it does feel like Gotham. I mean, I didn't want to bring it up, motherfucker. Like, I mean, but I'm saying
at this point, like,
yeah, it was really claustrophobic in that city, and it feels really lived in. That I thought like it was such a good vibe. And Brandon Lee, rest in peace. Like that was like his last film. He tragically, obviously, I don't know if you guys know the story of him passing in this like during the shooting. But the shooting, Jesus. But yeah, so seeing him and his character and how everything was, it was really good for me. As like I thought,
and building off of that, I do agree with the simple, like in the 80s and 90s, early 2000s. I want to say those were when we saw a lot of original content. So here I was watching it. I was like, dude, how come this feels like a little Gotham-y, a little like Batman-y, a little bit Under the Red Hood or something? Like it gave like that vibe. A little.
It is a comic.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. See, so I see a lot of nodes to what we're used to seeing. So it's cool having that simple idea, and they didn't over exaggerate. And like what you said, Kyle, like they didn't. It wasn't as like theatrical as we're used to. It's very like damn, like guerrilla style kind of feels like I can film this on my camcorder. Like the way how it's filmed, it's like cool, you know, to see or re-see it again. So I did enjoy the movie, easy to follow, not a lot of plot line, just a guy trying to get back, get a revenge, and like I don't know, it's just
Like the
overall
overall
good vibe.
direction, right? The overall direction
Yeah.
of the movie was like very linear, and like they were aware of it, but it's just like everything surrounding it, like the noir esque of it, right? It's very like ominous, but like not too ominous, and like you were kind of expecting it. And I guess because this is like an older movie, right? And you can compare this to like all the other older movies too. Like there's like generations of like how these movies were filmed and the art style and trends of like how to make a movie back then compared to like
Yeah.
now. So
Also, I also like the character. Like we didn't even need an introduction. We just like jumped straight in to the
I
story.
like, that's
I was
what I
like,
like.
yo,
Yeah.
like we're just jumping in. Okay, like I don't need to know
Yeah.
this guy's a rock star, but like it got dabbled in, and we didn't even care for the couple. Like we just like, oh man, it was just there. It just happened. So I like that.
No, for me, yeah, I think the fact that we jumped right in and then you show it through flashes, really, of what actually happened. For me, I still, I thought that it worked very well. I didn't need to see a build. I mean, obviously, because it's like
you
in
didn't
that
need to see the build up.
scenario.
It was just kind of like, hey, like this happens and this is why he's doing it. So it's like, all right, let me just go watch him do it.
Exactly. And in that scenario, you kind of already like, yeah, I could see this happening. Like, yeah, because it's like it's one of those fantasies. It's like, yeah, obviously, if something happened in front of you, and all of a sudden you're giving the chance to get back, get brought back to life, undo, fuck those guys up, and all of that stuff. It's a fucking pretty. What's the word I'm trying to look for? There's a whatever. It's a really cathartic feeling.
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah.
That you get from watching it and watching him. Like every single time he encounters somebody, I'm always at that like, yeah, show him your face, dude. Let them know you're back from the motherfucking dead. I don't know. Like I just
He was
love
like very intentional throughout the movie. Like anytime he popped up and like sees someone, and he's like, it's like, yeah, like you're gonna fucking like, I'm gonna fuck you up. Like
Yeah,
exactly.
No,
Yeah,
and
it's super
And-
subtle too.
yeah, and it's like crazy because before knowing the Crow or before watching the Crow, I know the Crow, right? Like I've heard of the Brandon Lee stories and all that other stuff, but like I thought he was like just a kind of like a make believe
Thing?
character, kind of like a it, yeah, like a it,
Like,
like
basically,
where, like he's just there. Then he has like the face paint and stuff, but I didn't know he was like, oh, he came back to life and it's a revenge story. I thought he was just like fighting crime or something. Or,
Mhm.
so that's what it gave. Like it was very vigilante,
Yeah.
right? It like gave like he's like, oh, like the reason why, and he's like doing all this like bad shit and crazy shit. But it's like, well, he's like, something happened to him and it fucked him up. Like,
And that's the thing.
So-
And I think that's what I liked is because like they brought him back, and that was his only purpose. He didn't care about anything else that was happening. Like he was kind of
Exactly, yeah.
nonchalant about it. I mean, like the fact that he went to the I think to whatever his face was. I forgot. Top Dollar. I don't remember. They went in there. He's like, I don't care what you guys do. I just want him because
Yeah,
that's what he's there for.
Yeah.
And so
So-
I really liked that, and I like the fact that he didn't actually care, and he was already kind of done even at that point once he killed him. It's just that they kept pushing him, and they were the ones kind of instigating it, which they obviously regretted. And I just really like that, and I like Brandon Lee's like. There's like a minimalism to his performance, like he and I think
lines were delivered very smoothly, and they were
Yeah.
like very intentional, very like
Mhm.
like the mindset he had. Then like you looking on his face, right? Like a lot of it was like his facial expression too, like especially on top of the mask and like the
Yeah.
stuff. Like his face was saying something, and then also his lines were just kind of like, hey, like it's gonna happen, and just like he executed basically. He executes every time.
Yeah,
So
he just has that. He had that aura, man.
Yeah,
That
For some reason, yeah, I feel like you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like I'm pretty sure most of the characters that we do see were character study of this guy because like I saw hints of Joker I saw hints of Batman.
Mm.
Like I saw some other like dark characters after watching this. I was like, oh, I see it. That's why I can't really in my head like compare like, man, this looks like Dark Knight or like something like to this
You're
one,
doing the
because
reverse,
this
like
one was originally
reverse.
first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so
kinda
I was
the
like, wow,
reversal.
this guy's totally a character study for that built off of that one or something. Because I liked it, and like
Side
all the
note,
reasons you
but
did say.
side note, you talk about character study. Is there? I guess a general question for all of us is like, what kind of character study would you be like interested in terms of
I'm
like
not an
a
actor,
role?
so I can't
Well, I
answer
know, but
that.
like, is there like is there like an actor that you kind of like look up to and just like, oh, like I'll always watch him because like he'll like perform kind of thing.
Well, I
Oh,
know
you mean
yours
an
is.
Actor, actress, whoever.
So you're talking about like
Just
for you? I know it's
just
Adam
anyone you
Driver.
You mean
kinda
a
vibe with.
chameleon? Yeah, you mean a chameleon?
Yeah, a chameleon. Yeah. It's
I
like,
think we
it's
all.
like, you
I
know,
thought we
you look
all have
into, like,
the same.
is it the same? What do you mean?
I thought
Is
it
it
would
the
be Gyllenhaal. I like Gyllenhaal. I like
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal, dude.
I like
He's
I like
good.
Gyllenhaal.
Gyllenhaal unanimously, yeah, I can agree.
No, I'm still a Gosling boy, so I'll go for Gosling.
Mr. Recent Gosling. What was his recent stuff?
Yeah, I mean, Barbie,
It's
man.
the Fall Guy. No,
The Fall Guy.
the Fall
Yeah.
Guy. That's his most
No.
recent.
No,
But
but
to bring it back to the Crow,
going back to the Crow, yeah, I think
I know you said it earlier, and like before we taped it, it's like you said now you're interested in watching the new one, right? And I know you said
Yes.
there was other ones in between. So like, are you saying don't watch it?
There
or-
was.
so. There were sequels to this, but it wasn't. It was just like it wasn't an Eric Draven story. It was just like
Did
a
you
bunch
watch
of,
it?
No, I think a lot
Okay.
of them. I was kind of turned off by the fact that it wasn't Brandon Lee. But then again, I mean, it's not like they can bring Brandon Lee back.
Yeah,
I think, I think people did not really like them, from what I could tell. I know my uncle said he never thought it was good. Like he only
Okay,
but
but
also
he only had a
also
DVD
like
of the
new
first one.
right?
You know what I mean? Like at that
Mm.
point. So
Yeah, so like what we said earlier, it did become like a cult classic, and
It did,
like
yeah.
So I think that's why it has that appeal.
mhm.
And like what you were mentioning earlier, I do want to watch the new one now with Skarsgård, because I'm like now I'm
Yeah, I
interested,
think
because like
that's a big reason for me too. It's like knowing that he's casted for this, and then watching the old one, you'd be like, oh my god, he can actually
yeah.
he'll kill this role. Like,
Yeah,
Like,
actually,
You can,
it is,
I
yeah,
can
perfect
like
casting,
now
yeah.
that we've seen the non-theatrical part, now I'm ready for a theatrical
that's-
part or
that's
something.
That's what I mentioned it earlier, right? Where it's like you see this and how they shot this back in the day, and just kind of like, okay, like this is the vibe, this is like what we're getting, and then now we're in this like new age of like cinema and just like different flavors of everything, right? And knowing that like you can kind of manipulate this like old classic to kind of like twist it in however you want, and having Skarsgård like also play the role, it might toot the horn of some people, but
I
or
always,
not.
yeah.
yeah,
I always
but
thought Skarsgård was kind of perfect for the role. Anyways, I'm just I got wary after seeing the reviews, people, and I'm always, I think I always got
Really?
wary. I always got wary anyway, because
How
they-
often do reviews like sway you from yes or no in watching a movie?
a lot of the time, yeah.
A lot, really?
A lot
Damn,
of the
that's
time.
crazy.
No, I mean, especially if it's a fucking 9%. Are you kidding me? Or something that
Sometimes
low.
you gotta know why it's a 9%.
Well, so fuck that. Like, I still haven't watched Madam Web at this point. I haven't watched Madam Web yet. I haven't watched.
I mean,
Oh
you
yeah,
have to.
I haven't watched that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
No,
so
no.
like
watched
looking
Madam
at the
Madam Web
review,
was, like,
Rotten Tomato
mid.
gave the original Crow 87, and the
Okay.
new one is 23.
Okay, 23.
That's what
Okay.
Google says.
Okay.
I know. I saw a quote from the director too, and they're like, "Oh, we thought this was gonna be an easy cash grab or something." So I don't know if they just like fucked up the direction of like where they were trying to.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I saw
feel
that
like-
tweet, and I'm just like, "Oh man, really? Is that why?"
That's the reason why I've been wary of any Crow stuff after the first one, because it's like, okay, we've done all these sequels. No one really loved them. I mean, I still haven't seen them, but no one really loved them. We're getting a new one. Are they finally gonna get this right? It doesn't look like they did. Even with the perfect guy that is kind of like whatever the character of Eric Draven is, I feel like Skarsgård fits the bill. So the fact that they kind of, it didn't go their way. I mean, it's kind of saddening to see. It was supposed to be Jason Momoa at one point or some shit like that. Right?
Whoa, that's too buff.
Have you heard of that? There's a bunch of people that were up for the role. I think
Wow.
Mark Wahlberg was one. Weirdly,
Whoa,
it was a weird time. Weird time.
that's crazy. You know what it is? Even though I didn't watch it, maybe a lot of people say it's just the story wasn't hitting, but
Probably.
it's that piques my curiosity too, because like what you said, those are all reviews and stuff, but like, man, I gotta like see it for myself, because what if it's like wrong or not, like what if it is really
You
good
gotta
in
find
our
out why.
opinion,
Yeah. What if you like it's your guilty? It becomes like your guilty pleasure. You're just like, ah.
kind of something like that, maybe like give it a chance here and there, because I'm like I did, again, just finished watching it, like I do want to watch it just because, like, will it capture
The hard
like
part
it
is
did
like,
this
do you
one?
think it'll stay in the old one? Just knowing, like,
No,
might
No,
be as good.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Because, like I
I don't
said,
think it'll stay.
they've been trying. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
the fact that they still can't, but then we just watch. Well, for me at least, like I just watched the new one or the older one, and I'm still like in awe of the vibe and the overall aesthetic of it. I kind of feel like it won't stain it. That's kind of why I'm like, I kind of want to see it still, see what they did with that character and how they went with that story. Another thing I'm afraid of, since it's like a John Wick thing now for revenge films, I'm scared they're gonna make it like a John Wick type of fucking
Ew, no.
Like a lot
movie.
of like too much action.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think I like the fact that like the focus here was just like on the revenge story. Like
Yeah.
like I don't want to take away from that. I guess is my thing. But anyways,
Mhm.
you guys have any other thoughts on, like, did you guys like Ernie Hudson? Ernie Hudson was cool as the beat cop, like the former
Oh,
detective became a beat
yeah.
cop.
He was cool. I liked
Yeah.
him. The
Yeah.
Ghostbuster guy. I was like, hey, Ghostbusters in the movie. I didn't know he was I didn't even know he was in this, so I was like, now I know 2 movies he's in. No, I'm sorry, I really don't know. I really don't know. So again, like,
I'm
this
sure
is
he
why
was
we're
in
doing
other
retro
stuff,
reviews.
wasn't he? Yeah, exactly.
So like it piques all our interests on like maybe things we didn't watch growing up, and might like spark something for us. So
There's
I'm
like
really
hints.
excited.
Yeah, like there's like figures that you just like, this guy, I seen him somewhere, and you're just like, ah. And then you find out he's in all these like older movies that are like, oh, like this was popular back then, or this was kind of like,
Yeah.
You think
like hit people.
you
Go for it.
think
Yeah,
The
sorry.
Crow would have done good without them being butting in the main guy?
What do you
Like
mean?
if it just like, you know how like it ended with the main baddie that did the Devil's Night? Like what if they just took that out and like it was just the 4 goons? Like
And
would it be
ended
good,
there?
or did would you say you needed that since you basically watched it more than us? Like what do you
No,
think?
Well, yeah, I think for me, yeah, I mean, the fact that they set it up, because I think the whole overall thing was like, yeah, the reason why the couple got invaded is because of the whole tenant thing. So I guess they to tie that up, to say, hey, I was in charge of that, right? Like I'm the one that probably led to that happening. I guess they kind of did. At the same time, it's like, I just like the idea of him not even caring about them until they pulled him in, or until they did something like, they all of a sudden they grabbed Sarah, right? And that's
Yeah.
literally how they got him to act. Like he didn't care. Like he literally didn't care about the fucking whole table of goons. Like I said, like until they did something to him. And I think that's what I liked. So yeah, maybe if they did remove it, it wouldn't make too much of a difference. But where the story was going anyway. Yeah, I thought
It adds to it at the end, right? I mean, like
Yeah,
with
it
any
does.
revenge story, there's like really like a core,
I think, like,
pivotal.
yeah.
That's like he has a vice basically, and it's like, oh, like just do anything. But as soon as you like introduce this, and it's like, like that's when he kind of like snaps and stuff.
Yeah.
So
No, yeah, like I get it too, but like I think, yeah, like you're right, Jen. Like how you said like I'm just here for this guy. Like imagine if they were just out of the picture. It's just like would this be a different story, or like will it still have the same effect, or it needed that snowball effect of like it needed to lead to a big boss and all. But hey, like you said, it's from a comic book, so it must have been needed in a sense to make it more
Yeah.
interesting. I did like the fight though at the end. Like he literally
Yeah.
grabbed like a giant like sword looking thing from the top of the church. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
It can get hokey, especially that one. Yeah, definitely. But like, no, honestly, if they did remove it, I don't think it would have changed the story at all. I mean, like I said, the revenge story is the basic gist of what drove him as a character. So,
Yeah.
you know, if they took that out, it wouldn't have been a big deal, I guess. Like, it would still have been the same story if you know, that
They
answers
needed
your
more
question.
crows.
Oh yeah, the crow was totally the true hero of this film.
The crow was
man.
badass.
The
yeah.
crow.
They needed more crow. I needed more crow time. Crow screen time. That's what delivered it for me. But
So you know how like so the crow. I mean, it's not a remake technically; it's more like a retelling.
Yeah.
But this is kind of related, I guess. So you know how you asked if it ruined your whatever.
Previous
I guess
image, yeah.
like,
You're like,
have
no.
you seen the new Old Boy, the
No.
American Old Boy
I don't want to.
The
You
one
should.
with stuff.
with Josh
Yeah, I don't
Brolin
want
Josh
to.
Brolin.
and Elizabeth Olsen? You should
I do not want to.
just do it. I mean,
I know. I heard what they changed, and I don't like that they changed it because I think that adds to why I like the original one.
oh, the ending. Is
Yeah.
it the ending?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, interesting.
For me, it's how it. Wait, what do you mean? Interesting.
No, I didn't know they changed the ending.
Oh,
'Cause
no,
I,
yeah,
I
like, 'cause
only
they had to
watched
make
the
a
original.
little-
I've never
Yeah, 'cause
watched
I feel
the
like
other
they
one.
had to make it like very American, right? So
I think they just changed the outcome. They didn't change anything else. They changed what happens.
They changed the outcome, but like for me, I feel like as much as like the original one and the outcome is very like polarizing, right? That kind of is the point. Like,
Yeah.
Like well, when you say outcome, you mean like the last 10 minutes or like
after the reveal. After the
after
reveal.
the reveal?
After the reveal and what happens and what he does.
Yeah,
type
basically just the reveal and just a recap of like, oh, like this is basically what we've been doing to you,
thing. Yeah.
you know, and that
Yeah. Well, anyways, so yeah, I think those are our final our thoughts on The Crow. Really, a lot of these retro stuff that we're doing. I mean, most of it we're kind of just like, I think it's going to be really short. We're trying to get just more bite-sized stuff out to you people to actually listen. You know, I'm going to force these upon your ears.
No, for sure. And like what you said, there's a lot of movies we didn't watch growing up, so maybe it'll help us on our side. So there's so many times Jan gets mad like, what? You didn't watch this? So it's like, okay, now we're forcing ourselves to watch it for Jan's satisfaction.
Oh, fuck you. There's stuff I haven't watched yet.
It's a joint effort to kind of just catch up on things that are like, well, I watched this before, but you didn't, and this was really good. It's like,
See, like the first Alien, we literally watched Alien. I think we were just talking before we got on air.
Romulus,
Alien Romulus we watched, but I never watched the first Alien in full.
What? Oh my gosh!
I'm
just kidding. I never watched it.
Like I've never watched it from like beginning to end. Always just like, you know, in passing.
Speaking of old movies, like the fact, and this is kind of like what's kind of really cool about Alien and why, you know, like it has like a following too. Is like because when it first came out too, it was like the genre itself was just very like, you know, super new, and a lot of effort went into it.
Oh yeah. And I think that's the fact with The Crow too. It's like it's a product of the time when it was made, and I'm pretty sure during that time, I think a lot of people resonated with it just because of, I think, the soundtrack and the overall, like I said, the aesthetic of it. I mean, I watched it when I was a kid, but I was into that stuff. You know what I mean? Like I thought it was cool. So yeah, The Crow is a good one. We are going to start watching more things. Do we want to give...
What's next?
Our next one.
I
know we wrote it down.
We did.
So how we're choosing our retro reviews is we do a roulette. So our next person that we're gonna check. We did a roulette. So it's actually Isla Fisher.
Isla.
So that's all. Oh, Isla Fisher. I'm sorry. So that's That's the only hint we're going to give you. Like, so
Yeah.
if you want to see what we're watching, like, tune in.
It's an
So
Isle
with
of
that,
Fisher movie, baby.
yeah. So with that said, thank you for listening again. We are the Spit Talk Podcast, amateur opinions by amateur reviewers. Check out our socials, and we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.
Bye.